trying to get sober, keep failing, keep failing, keep failing. Do you have a situation like this? I was exactly at that kind of a place. Over 100 times trying to quit, trying to get sober, and constantly failing. It was definitely more than 100 times. Here's the things I've learned already. What is important when you're trying to get sober and why you're failing? I will keep it to myself, as in keep it to yourself, your sobriety, especially when you're hitting the beginning. Because we like to go and, well, majority people like to go somewhere because you're happy, you're optimistic, because, I'm not drinking anymore, I'm becoming sober. So you would like to go and announce it to the rest of the world, how, powerful you feel, and this is the change, finally it's happening, this is what's going to be my new life about. But unfortunately, many people fail because all that power, movement, and everything which is involved in it kind of goes away, and then you hit some kind of a hard reality. You have something like as well the pressure of other people, because they're gonna be constantly asking you questions, how you doing, how you getting in it. Now the thing is, when you announce anything, which is okay, you can do that, and you got some kind of a momentum that people are checking up on you and stuff, it comes with double pressure now, because you're being pressurized. And I think and I believe that sobriety is supposed to start quiet, because you've got no expectations, right? Everyone around you, even if you think like in the past how many times you've been saying that you're getting right, and then you stop drinking, you're not doing this anymore, but then you coming back, and this is actually scenario of many people struggling with it. And then every attempt and every failure takes you like some steps back, that you're thinking you're not worth it, maybe it's something wrong with me, I'm never gonna be there, it's impossible. And every approach you're doing it, every next approach, it gets already with some kind of anxiety, trauma, drama, because you already know that I'm failing and I cannot deliver. So if you're gonna do it quietly, it's less pressure and less expectation on you. All right, if you don't announce to anybody, nobody knows, and you're working, you're like that person which actually sneaks, back in them dark streets, no one knows about you, and you're building your confidence, and you're building your way through it. Is that gonna give you more power not to fail? Maybe yes, maybe not. Still you might fail at it, but at least you're building something quietly, and it's strong, and it has some kind of a value for you. Because one of the important things is that sobriety is supposed to have a value for you, not for others. Because even it doesn't matter how optimistic you are about something, when you're sharing with someone and you talk to them, for them it's gonna be like, okay, I'm happy for you, but you know what, I don't have that buzz coming up in my veins just because you said something about the stuff which actually, does not relate to me. So just because it's important for you, it doesn't mean it's going to be important for others. They will probably receive it as information. They will give you some kind of a good feedback, or some kind of a good words, good thoughts, and they will tell you and share like, yeah, good on you, very good, keep it up, keep on, carry on. But the thing is, that is something like very, very personal and is yours. So that's why if you're gonna start building that, within your own, environment that is only you within, then you will get a little bit more comfortable with it. Because what you have to understand and realize, you are actually on a new territory. Well, I know it's a promised land because you would like to be there, but as we know from our experiences in life, sometimes what we want is not actually looking exactly how we imagine or expectations we have. So building that in quiet, at least you don't have outside pressure on you, and no one's gonna be just attacking you later. Oh, you've been saying that you're not gonna be drinking, now you're drinking again. So maybe this time you can try to do some kind of a quiet approach and get that power and that momentum behind the closed doors when no one sees it and it's not actually flashy mashy for everybody, but it's like rather just for you. Triggers and cravings. That's something which is the super knowledge you should have, the basic knowledge when you approach your sobriety. Why? Because without understanding them, you are missing your armor, your shield, your sword. That is something which is supposed to defend you from typical cravings, but cravings are not hopping out of the blue. Cravings are actually being pushed by triggers, right? So anything you have, like situation wise, which remind you about the alcohol, then might get you into the point that you might think that you would like to drink an alcohol, so the trigger become craving, and then disaster happens. Now the thing is, without the knowledge, you don't have anything to defend yourself, right? So that case of having of armor, which is your shield, which is your sword. But with the cravings and triggers, you need to understand that you need to find what was actually pushing you to drinking, or what you've been doing as a person when you've been drinking. So everything which was involved in that will be a typical trigger and a craving for you. Because there's certain situations, certain places might be triggered for one type of the people, but the other type of the people are going to have the kind of triggers and cravings from it anyway. Because you see, everyone is different, and let's say that some people have different style of drinking places, or any situation you being with a drinking wise. If you're gonna see, for instance, beggar sitting by the shop and drinking the wine, that might not be any trigger or craving for you, because you did not relate yourself to be in this position when you've been drinking. So let's say that you've been the person who was drinking at home, or like little tiny party, home parties and stuff like that. And then when you're hearing somewhere at work that someone talks about some kind of a party at home, that is gonna be, for instance, some kind of a flashback for you that you've been doing something like that. And that could be like, the signal for the trigger itself, and then getting you to the craving as a wanting some alcohol, because you're gonna have some flashback. These are the things, these are them flashbacks which they're gonna be taking you back, because anything you actually already witnessed or experienced is being stored in your head, right? In your brain. So then when anything like a trigger happens, it opens the drawer with them situations which they might lead you to cravings. So triggers equals cravings equals drinking. When in that perspective, you should just look and study and really take yourself back to see what was your kind of a drinking, what was the things you've been doing when you've been drinking. So then you will understand, if I will be around this, or if I'm gonna be involved in something like that, that might get me into the point that I'm gonna have stronger cravings, because the triggers might appear once or twice, and that is enough just only to push you to cravings. But then the cravings, they have something like that they actually getting stronger. So sometimes you have to weigh them out. For instance, you will need some time, it will go away. It's just like that kind of a moment, like you have a fever, right? And certain time gets stronger, then that wears off a bit, then you fall asleep, then you wake up on the next day, maybe it's coming up again at a different time. So in here could be definitely the same way of happening. But the thing is, you should look specifically on you, how you've been experiencing your drinking, and what could be your trigger or a craving for you. And the second thing is ideas and stuff, how to wait it out something and how to take this away from you. If someone, because people like to share something, so someone might tell you that when I had my triggers or cravings, I was doing this and that, such and such, but maybe other you've been doing something else. So whatever, it's good to get the knowledge, but whatever works for others might not work for you. That's why you are kind of creating your own path. When you start your sobriety, well, this is gonna be some kind of a new territory, right? Your promised land, as I like to call it. Now, you don't know that land. And you've spent so much time drinking, so now you're gonna be not drinking, so that means you're gonna have plenty of time and keeping yourself busy, right? Doing some kind of stuff, so take your thoughts away from it and trying to wait it out that time when you've been actually drinking, so now you have to fulfill that time with something else. What might could help you as well is just looking back, and see what you've been doing, for instance, before you start drinking. Maybe what kind of an interest you had. I'm not saying that you're supposed to go back when you've been 7 years old, but why not? Something which you've been interested. Maybe it's something you would like to dig in, like in knowledge-wise. Maybe you want to learn something. Maybe you want to see something, visit some place. I don't know. I mean, just like anything which you have time right now to search, to kind of investigate, to start doing it, because so far you've been doing your time as a drinking, so now you're gonna have a plenty of time. And it's not always the case that you have to go somewhere, do something, sign up for something. I mean, you could do, it's fine. Everything depends on the budget as well. Some people have enough money to do that, some people don't. Well, these days we have internet era, so you can find something, you can discover something. I mean, as easy as just grabbing the phone these days, and you can internet for something. So it's just like you don't have to go nowhere. You can as well fill up that time at home, unless you want to put yourself towards the family, or maybe there is some projects around the house. Da-di-da-di-da-di-da. So all that stuff is very important. So you can fill up your time, but all that extra time you're generating, I mean, you're thinking that you generate an extra time because this is the time which was spent for drinking, so now you're not drinking, so you have that time. I'm hoping that's not too wordy what I try to say. But the thing is, you can come up to new ideas as well. Try new things, try new stuff, get yourself technically speaking busy, right? So that's one of the things as well. You have time to do that now, okay? Because you're gonna have some time, and it's a good time as well, value time, which is not gonna be wasted. So you can think, you can search through, you can rediscover, you can discover. So that's something which helps a lot as well. I want to get sober, but that's another one which it creates the situation that people are failing when they try to get to the sobriety. Because do I really want to get sober, or do I really want to get dry? Or do I want to have the time when I'm jumping on sobriety because that's what I'm thinking it is, so I'm like strict, I'm getting the knowledge, I'm doing everything fine, and then the trouble is, after a certain time you're gonna start feeling better. So that betterness will be kind of getting back to your head and trying to ask you some questions. Oh, come on, man. I'm just like, you don't drink 4 months now, 6 months or 5 months or 8 months or whatever the time is. I mean, maybe I don't really have that problem. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm just exaggerating right now. Maybe it's just like maybe I can try to control it. Yeah, exactly. Try to control it. That's one of the things which you're gonna have, and well, maybe not everybody, but in majority cases happens. That's why people getting back later to drinking. That's why you've got them 100 attempts of trying to get sober. It's just because every time when you're coming back on the drinking, you start drinking so much that you start again feeling unwell. So it's just like, this is the kind of a stage where you have, let's say that you have two fields, right? There's a field on the one side, on the other side, and in the middle is the fence. Now, that on one side of the field is drinking, right? The other side of the fence, when it's the other field, is not drinking. And the trouble is, we put ourselves on that fence, so one foot stands on one side and the other foot stands on the other side. So, well, I want to get sober, but if that's just kind of you're trying to be attached, you just cannot detach yourself from it, because it is the point that is a new life starting. You're being afraid of something. And of course, naturally, you're going to be kind of drifted and shifted towards of something which you know better. And when you have the new land, I mean, you've got your expectations, you've got, you imagine yourself when you're going to be, how you're going to be, and what you're supposed to achieve from it. But it's not just there yet. So once you start feeling better, then you automatically start question everything. So, oh, come on, I mean, there's other people are drinking, you know. Okay, fair enough, I had a little slip, I start drinking a little bit more, but look at me now, I'm not touching it, so maybe I'm not that bad. And then all that, it keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. That's why you get in later again, because every time when you're trying to stop, you kind of hoping inside of you that, you know, maybe this time I'll be able to, you know. And there's a countless attempts to stop drinking, when in the moment when you start taking that kind of a momentum that you closer to your sobriety, you're going exactly back to drinking. Confusing sobriety with dryness. That's one of the things as well, because you need to understand the sobriety is actually a lifestyle, right? So going back to that situation, which I spoke already about, you know, being on the one side of the fence or the other side of the fence, being dry, it is, I would say, the beginning to anyone who jumps on sobriety, because before you're gonna have anything you need to understand what sobriety means, you have to kind of go through some, you know, certain distance of time to see how is looking your life when you're not drinking. So the first stage is definitely the dryness, and then once you see that, you know, element of distance when you don't drink, then you have some kind of a reflections, you know, in regards to that time when you're not drinking because you're dry. And then once you start understanding yourself better and better and better, that sobriety starts slipping in and it takes its place. Because, you know, you can stop drinking for a year and then go back to drinking again. So the question is if that was the sobriety or if that was the time when I was dry. And definitely that's the time when you're dry, because you kind of probably in the head you've been thinking, when the certain time will go, then definitely if I will drink after some time, though, that means that I'll be fine, because now I had so much time already not drinking, so definitely I'll be able to drink in again in some kind of a moderation. But the truth is, once you pass the moderation point, there's no going back. There's no going back. It's the same like you making the jar of pickles, right? So when you put any vegetable before the curing base, right, before it becomes a pickle, then it's nice, it's fresh, and this is your moderation. Now after the certain time when all the cure jumps in it, that part of, let's say, a vegetable is never gonna look like the original when you put it into the jar before. So going back, it's impossible. It's just impossible. It's not gonna work. And this is understanding that sobriety is a lifestyle. When you choose it once and you go in there, after a certain time, when you realize where you are and what you do, you actually don't want to go back to drinking. You don't want to go back to drinking because you don't see the point of drinking anymore. You know, some people are thinking that they're gonna be doing only, you know, like dry January, or, you know, just like I'm gonna do myself 6 weeks no drinking, stuff like that. And many of them turning into the sobrieties just because the reflection time starts kicking in and they asking themselves the question, well, I'm living like that for 3 months, 6 months, or whatever, and then it's like, you know what? I mean, I can actually do my life without drinking. I mean, if I survive 3 months, 6 months, and nothing happens to me, then what's the problem, right? So the conclusion might be that I don't need to drink at all, right? And then later, it might be the case, even if they will try a little bit of alcohol, it does not give them that edge which they already had when they've been drinking more. But as I said, everyone is different, and understanding that sobriety and dryness, they're very related to each other. They meaning something else, but one transforms itself to another. But it could be the case as well that you jump directly and you're gonna become sober, or you're gonna just stay dry and you're gonna be doing on and off, on and off, on and off, by thinking that this is sobriety, because the sobriety will be only in a moment when you decide totally that you don't want to do it at all, right? And typically I would say if you go into the rest of your life like this, then it's typical sobriety. Then willpower will be a kind of a pushing you for failure. It's just because you don't have the knowledge. You cannot defend yourself. So we're going back to the situation of the triggers and then cravings. So you understand the process, you understand what's happening around you, and then definitely anyone who gets into position that he wants to use the willpower, it might work at some point, but you're gonna be definitely in pain, because every time when you're gonna have like them tough times, you will not understand why that happens. If you have a knowledge about cravings and then triggers, then the willpower is totally not needed, because you just going towards something which was really checked. This is like with someone who's gonna be trying to go on some kind of a fire, right? You try to walk on a fire. Well, if you walk on a fire by barefoot, like with that one, well, some people doing it, some people are not doing it, and it's painful. But if you will have, for instance, something which you can wear in terms of fireproof for that moment, when that moment gets you, when you're gonna be stepping on them, stones or the wood or whatever it's burning, then that is your armor. And this is basically understanding your cravings and your triggers. So I think majority cases, if you go in just with a willpower, you will fail. And many people do fail, and they keep coming up again because someone said to you at some point, like, you just stop drinking and you'll be fine. Well, if that would be so easy, we would never ever had that problem with the alcohol, would we? There will be them typical things. There will be the typical things which majority people is fighting with, and you have that definitely that inner fight within you. Now, you have to let it go. You just gotta let it go, and decided that I'm going for sobriety. And once you step your foot on one side, which has the sign sobriety, just continue walking through it. Just continue walking through it, because if you're gonna be allowing some doubts in you, you have to as well listen to your inner voice. That inner voice which wants to be better, wants to get better, and wants to be off the situation that you are so much with alcohol. Because you know that every time when you get into position, when you get hangovers and you have them, but majority cases Sundays, or maybe you're in a stage like right now that you get intoxicated nearly every day or every other day, so you can see that the stuff takes over you, and you feel inside that is not right. You're not feeling well as well. Your health is start just going down a bit, deteriorating. You see that. You see these. You see them things. You see like everything happens around you. But we have the kind of a thing that we try to, ignore it. That is not a problem. You start ignoring something, it's like, I'll be off for a few weeks, be fine, and then you're going back to it. And again, once you start feeling crappy, you go in to give yourself some kind of a treatment. So I'm not doing it. Or some people, even if they feeling crappy and they seeing they're not feeling good, they continue drinking anyway. It's just like that. The situation where you're thinking, if I'm not feeling well enough, I will have some little bit of alcohol that will help me, right? Or if I have some kind of a problems with something, I will drink some, I'll be fine, because that's supposed to clean up my body in some perspective, that it will fight something. Like maybe I have some kind of a bacteria. If I will drink something, then I will drink that off and stuff. So this is like, the fear of letting go and fear of starting new life. It's a big, huge factor in it as well. Because you might be afraid that you're going to lose the friends, or so-called friends, the drink buddies. You thinking that your life will kind of ruin because, or you have something like, it's like, I have to drink with my boss, so because I have a job, I have this and this, and the job involves, some kind of a drinking of alcohol, because I need to be the part of the clique or something. This is like, all them things are important, but the majority question will be, what is more important to you? you as a yourself, or the positions you being put it by alcohol because you're thinking this is important. It's like very often it gets to the point where you're thinking that something's supposed to be done and supposed to be involved with the alcohol, but later we kind of are getting to the point that it doesn't have to. I mean, some people might not, ditch you just because you don't drink alcohol, right? Your boss is not gonna lay you off just because you're not doing drinks with them or something. You have to look on that sometimes your value and what you created with the places and the people speaks for itself. It doesn't mean that you have to drink with them to be respected by them. It doesn't work that way. They might liking if they have someone around who they drink, but it doesn't mean that if you're not gonna be drinking, they're gonna be totally dislike you suddenly. It doesn't work that way, because you have some core values and some history with them people. So if that history is good, then there's no reason for them to ditch you. At some point, they will be even respecting your choice. And the further you be going towards your goal of sobriety, they will understand that, maybe, because the sobriety is something like very much personal and private, and you as an individual have to be kind of ready and feel it for it, that you're ready to go with it, rather than something which is supposed to be forced on you. So if someone tries to push you to something, you're definitely going to be doing opposition. If there is something you would like to go easy and being introduced to something, and then it gives you the point that this is your own decision, then the success will be bigger. So the road still will be bumpy, because it always is, but some people getting to the point that they're claiming that they have cravings even 5 years and 10 years since they stopped drinking, but because you're building yourself that time of yours, and every day counts, not just because you survived another day, but every day counts as well, just because you're stronger and you understand yourself more. It's not understanding drinking anymore, it's understanding you, how you react to that drinking. That's what is more important, and that gives you that power later, because at the end of the day, you know that you are the one who's supposed to make a decision. If I'm drinking or I'm not drinking. If I drinking, I know what I will be going through. If I don't drink, well, now I got something that I have to, and I'm able to compare to. So I know how my life looks like when I'm drinking and when I'm not drinking, and which one I would like to choose. In majority cases, we're gonna be choosing something which benefits us, not people around us or the situations. It's just us, because that's all that matters on the end. These are my actually personal experiences and thoughts with my long journey when I was trying to get sober, and eventually I did it. But that was more than 100 attempts to try to get to finally achieve it. If I could do it, everyone could do it. So that means that you can do it as well. If anything which I mentioned could be beneficial for you, go and use it freely. It's fine. It's 100% proven by me, with me, and around me. And then if you think that something is not gonna work for you, it's fine. But at least you're gonna have some knowledge what other people doing, and up to the certain stuff. Sometimes we have to get, and mature it in perspective, that something we realize what is working for us, what's not, and it's fine, because there are more than one road to the sobriety. So as long as it gets you to the point that you don't drink, that's exactly what you want. Right, people, I wish you sober evening, sober day, sober month, sober year. Hopefully the rest of your life sober. All right, take care of yourself. I'll catch you later.